Three, two, one. We are live. Okay. Oh, where's Omi? Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay, so everyone is here. Hello, everyone. I think my voice is clear or not? Yeah.
yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So I think we should start now. It's time. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. It's an immense pleasure of mine to host this session for you. I'm Tejas Vargude. I'm a augmented reality developer, and my work is to develop augmented reality application using Unity and C Sharp. And I'm a Microsoft student partner. Uh, we here in Bhopal, as today's session is supported by GDG Bhopal and also by Facebook Developer Circle Bhopal. We are here to help everyone to bring the tech community in Bhopal and to make a tech culture in Bhopal so that we can be the next Bangalore, or we can have those talented people come up towards a great future. Yeah, and today's session is going to be a rock. Yeah, I bet Bhupinder sir is the best full stack developer who can teach you web development with Flask. So today we are going to build application like this. Wait a minute. I'm sharing my screen. Yep. Omi, you can introduce yourself and then Bhupinder.
Yeah, am I audible? Hello.
Yeah, Omi, you are audible.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Mohan Verma. I am MSP from Brisbane, Bhopal, and I have become a MSP in last year, September 2019, and I want to become a multi-cloud solution architect. And currently, I am working in innovative business solutions as a system admin. So, yeah, so
Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience, everyone. Yeah, I will repeat the same when I was sharing my screen. So, yeah, just a minute. Okay, so yeah, so today we are going to build this website on Python Flask, and we will deploy this on Heroku. And this website will be able to add a user and updates its level. We are Microsoft student partners and we have different levels, and also will be able to delete the users. And there will be a home screen. This will be compatible with your mobile and also with your desktop or Safari browser if you are using. And Heroku is a platform as a service, best platform as a service that enables developers to build, run, and operate applications entirely in the cloud. We will be also using Flask. Flask is a Python web framework. It provides you with tools, library, and technologies that allows you to build web web application. And we will be also using SQLite. SQLite, if you are Android developer, you must have heard about it. SQLite is a very easy to use database engine. It is very fast and lightweight. The Python standard library includes a module called SQLite 3 that we will be using. And SQLite is really, really awesome. Yeah, you can uh, cover a small space. It's really small, and it builds really small databases that we can use. Okay, so hope this clears out, and sorry for the inconvenience. And I think Bhupender sir, you can introduce yourself. Yeah.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Bhupinder Singh, and I am currently pursuing BTech from Bhopal in information technology. I am a Python developer, and I like working in Python, and I can create a. Today I am going to show you how to create a backend server using Python. We will be using simple HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap for the front end part, and mainly work we will be doing in the backend. So without wasting much time, I will be first tell you some introductions about the technology we will be using today and about the project that we will be making. And let's get into it directly without wasting much time because we have already wasted 10 minutes of us time. Tejas, I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, you can share it. Yeah.
Uh, I have to share it from the StreamYard or from the Teams app.
Yeah, from the StreamYard.
Share button is not allowing me to share the screen.
I think you can leave Teams. I think it may be a problem.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, but we can't see your screen.
I can't share the screen from here.
Okay, so why not you share it on Teams and I will cover it from here. Yeah. Just a minute.
So I'm sharing my screen on Teams.
Okay. And yeah, you should mute it in here in Teams yard so it does not get repeated. Wait a minute. Yeah. Just a minute. Hmm. I think you can start now. Everything is clear. Yeah, just a minute. I'm checking. Yeah, it's visible. So yeah, you can start.
Audible now? Tejas, I'm audible now? Yeah, just wait.
Yeah, yeah, you're
Teja, should I start? Hello, Teja Somi. Am I audible?
You are audible now.
You're audible, sir.
Okay,
You can
okay,
start.
okay.
Yeah, sure.
So sorry for wasting the time. I started, but I don't. I was not aware that my voice is not audible. Okay, so I will start from the beginning. This is the app we will be creating in this. We will be developing in this seminar. And first, I will give you a brief introduction about what is Flask. Flask is a web framework of Python developed with Python. Why is it a micro web framework? Because the various functions or libraries that a web framework uses, like Django or Node.js, Python is not dependent on any such libraries or functions. It uses other third-party libraries or function, and that can be installed and imported from outside. So it due to this feature, it is a very lightweight application, and it is one of the most famous and most used micro web framework. Uh, and the database that we will be using is SQLite, and the same reason which why we chose Flask was because SQLite is a small and lightweight database, and it's very easy to set up SQLite and create a database or a table in it. So I will give you a brief overview about what we will be developing in this session. This is a Crud application. A Crud application is an application where we will be using the basic features of a database, like creating a user, restoring a user, updating a user, or deleting a user. Uh, in this app, we have this dashboard where we will be shown the count of, count of users that are currently registered in our application. There are currently 4 users. Countries, there are this will show the count of the countries those users are from. There are currently 4 distinct countries in our app, and those and I will tell you about the levels. We are micro student partners, and we have 3 levels: alpha level, beta level, and gold level. So this will tell you how many alpha level users are there from these 4 users, and how many beta and how many gold users are there. Similarly, this add tab will be allowing you to add new users to our database. You can enter a name, enter a country, and a level, and choose a level here, alpha, beta, or gold, and click on submit, and the user will be added. In the update section, you can enter a name, enter the country that the user is from, and choose a new level and click on submit, and this will update the level in our database. And in delete user, you will be naming the person and his country, his or her country, and this will delete the user. And also, if someone enters a name that is registered but the country is not matched with the person that is registered in a user base, then the user will not be deleted, and it will show an error that there is no such user from the with the given name and given country. Okay, so this is an overview of the simple application that we will be building today. Okay, so let's set up a simple application using Flask. Okay, so what I did when I was not audible is I created a new folder named Flask app. I will be using VS Code to develop this project. You can use any database as any code editor. It doesn't matter. And in CMD, I will navigate to the folder that I just created. Okay. And in this folder, I will be first creating a virtual environment. And let me tell you what's a virtual environment is. A virtual environment is an environment of our application that is personal to our application. Means suppose I am building 2 separate Flask apps in my computer, and both the Flask app use different versions of different functions or libraries that my project will be using. Like my first Flask app was using version 1, and the next second Flask app was using version 3. So this will be a collision, and maybe there occurs some bugs or some errors in our application. So we create a virtual environment. This environment separately installs every dependency of the project and gives the project an environment to run. So to create a virtual environment, this is the command to create a virtual environment. Python dash m. VNV stands for virtual environment, and this VNV is the name of the virtual environment that you want to give. You can give any name like VNV or anything, but I
Okay,
prefer
sir.
giving it a virtual environment. Yes, yes.
Hello. Yeah, can you please increase the font size or maximize the window if you can?
Okay, I will maximize the window.
You can just right click on the top of command prompt and go to property to increase the size. Oh yeah.
So we will see, have we created the virtual environment? Yes, we so by typing the command python dash m vnv, which is virtual environment and the name of the virtual environment, we have created a virtual environment. By this is the folder vnv, and to activate this virtual environment, we will be typing. We will be navigating to this folder, scripts, and activate, and you will see this name, which shows that the virtual environment is activated and we can install any dependency in this virtual environment. So the very first and the very last, which will be dependency, which we'll be using in this session, is Flask. So pip install Flask. Pip is a Python installer which install library, which can install libraries to your computer. So clicking enter, this will install Flask on your in your virtual environment for the project. This will install various other things that will come with Flask. That is Jinja 2, Workswick. It's dangerous. Markup se. Jinja 2 is the template engine that that Flask runs on, and we will be seeing what it means and how it works. Okay, so we have installed Flask. So we will be starting to create our application now. Going back to the VS Code, we will create a file app.py. From Flask, import Flask. Let me write all the a short code here, and then I will explain you line by line what I have written.
Sir, do increase its size too. It will be great. Okay.
So I will increase the size in a minute. Let me find it. Till then, I will write the full code. Okay, so that's it. That creates a simple Flask app. And if you are a beginner, your very first web app. I will run it. I will first save it and run it in our command prompt. The command to run our application is Flask run. Okay, so that gives the URL on which you can find our application. Strange, it's not opening our app. Tejas, can you share the screen for a minute?
Yeah.
I'll find out it's some problem in my system. That's why it's not opening. Uh, Tejas, till then you can tell them about the GitHub link.
Okay, I think Omi is here. Yeah. Am I audible? Yeah, Omi. You can unmute yourself from stream and can mute yourself from team. Okay. That's clear. Hello. Yeah, you're audible. Yeah, you can share your screen. Okay. You can share your screen on Teams actually. Yeah. Okay. Is my screen visible? Yeah, it's visible. Okay. Now today we will. Okay. So our agenda is uh, what is student development? I think my voice is repeat.
What happened, Omi? Your screen is visible. You can continue. Yeah. Omi, you are not audible if you are speaking.
Yeah, now I'm audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, okay. So uh, our agenda is what is GitHub Student Developer Pack and how to apply for GitHub Student Developer Pack. Okay, so the first question is what is GitHub Student Developer Pack? So GitHub Student Developer Pack is the GitHub pack given for students. It's given you a variety of discount and free stuff. This is the biggest benefits. You do emails, accounts, you can get over $10 and more work for free stuff. You using this pack, sign up for student developer pack on GitHub using your .edu email accounts and student card very easy. So when you are apply for the GitHub student developer, first check are you eligible or not. So for the documentation, click on this link. And now, yeah. So what are you the requirement for GitHub student development? We are currently enrolled in a degree or diploma granting courses for study such as high school, secondary school, college, university, home school or similar educational institution, and have a verifiable school issued email address or upload documentation that proves your currently student status. Have a GitHub user accounts. Be at least 13 years old. Now, for applying for a GitHub student developer pack, go to a GitHub student website. It's the official website for GitHub student developer. And in the right column, click on the get benefits. Then under describe your academic status, select student. If you are a student, select student, and then select or add the email address you use for school. Then enter your email address. If promoted, upload proof of academic status. Click user camera and take a picture of your ID card and place your valid academy ID or other proof of current academic status in the frame and click the photos like this. Click on the take photos. If you can't take a picture of your proof of academic status, to upload an image from uh, from your computer, instead click upload image here and click on the take image, and there is also option for upload image. So you can choose upload image and you can directly upload your picture in this when you're applying for the GitHub student developer. And next, enter your school name. So what's your school name? You can enter your university or college or school name. Describe how to plan to use GitHub. You need to describe how you can use GitHub for developer pack, for managing, for developing, and anything. Verify your application details, then click on the submit. You need to verify your application detail and click on the submit. Means just check your uh, check your details. means if you are a student, check student. If you are your email ID, check your email ID, check your uh, academic flow, and submit your information. So, if your application is approved, you will receive a confirmation mail. Application are usually processed within a few days, but it may take a longer duration time than the duration the start of a new semester. Okay, so
Yeah, thank you, Ami. Thank you, Omi. Thank you very much. And yeah, just to get GitHub Student Developer Pack also gives Heroku for free. Yeah, if you
yeah,
are a
yeah,
student. And now I think
yeah.
Bhupinder sir can continue. And so yeah, Bhupinder sir, you can share your screen on Teams. And also we have a question from Anshika Verma. Bhupinder sir, you can unmute yourself if you are sharing the screen.
Okay. So my
Yeah,
screen is visible, right?
yeah, it's visible. And we have a question from Anshika Verma. Which framework is more flexible, Django or Flask?
Okay, so since we are already back in late in time, so I will be proceeding very fast now, but I will explain you every step of Flask, and will try to question and answer every question that you ask in the comment section. Okay, so let's uh, Tejas or Omi, can you mute your mic? My voice is repeating. Okay, so now it's perfect. Okay, so I will explain you what code I have written here. So from Flask that we installed using the pip installed in the command prompt, we have imported our Flask function,
We are able
and
to see your browser only.
oh, okay, okay,
I think you should share your entire screen, not just a window from Teams.
okay.
There are multiple options to share a window or to share a.
Visible now?
Yeah, it's visible now. Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to the code once again. Uh, we have installed pip. We have pip install Flask in the command prompt to install the Flask library, and from that library we have imported our Flask function, and created a variable name as app and initialized a Flask application here. This name is the variable that we will be using to name our app. That will be the file app.py. This is the first route. I will explain to you route afterwards. And this route tells us that this URL contains whenever the user loads this URL, this function should be loaded and it should return h1 heading 1 in hello world. And this is the initialization. If that name is the main file that we are currently working on, then run the app, and this app is this variable. So in command prompt we will again type flask run to run our app, and this is the app, the web app, our very first web app, which says hello world. Okay, so next we will add another route to our application. Let's add a route by the name flask. We will name the function that it should load whenever user visit flask. Route is function flask, and it should also return h1 tag and say hello flask. So we will save it, and we have to restart our app. So our app is restarted, and now in our browser, if we go to our the home route slash, it will show us hello world. But if we go to slash flask, it will show hello flask. This is possible due to the template engine, the Jinja engine that Flask uses. Next, we will try to introduce a variable. Suppose if someone uses slash flask slash a name, so we will give a variable slash flask slash name, and this is the variable, and it can contain anything in it. That a user uses, and we will pass this name in this function. And let's hello to that. We will do hello to that name. Uh, dot format name. So now if we restart our application and go to Flask, my name, and it will say hello Bhupinder. So this is all about routes that we will be seeing, and now I will show you. Uh, if we are using this route to load the HTML that we are using here, and but our website not contains a single line of HTML code. It can contain like thousand lines of code. So to contain this all HTML codes in a single place, we will create a folder known as templates, and templates are the HTML files, and we will create a new folder that is index.html, and we will copy this hello world to our index.html. We will remove the apostrophes, and now to render an HTML file in a route, we will need a separate function from our Flask library, that is render template, which will help us in rendering the template or an HTML file. So we will type return render template and pass in the file. Uh, the reason why we created this template folder and an index HTML file inside is because Flask is automatically configured to find the template folder in the same directory and find every HTML file in it. So if you change the name of templates, you have to change the default folder that it will look the HTML files in the Python file. So let's see if it renders the HTML index.html that we have created here. We have to again restart it. Okay, so we will go to the home route, and here it is hello world, and it has rendered the template. So we can send both the codes, HTML codes, in this, and we can use multiple codes like we will render template here, also index.html. But if I restart now, go to my browser and go to Flask, it will show us this brackets only, because the variable that we are using here is passed to the function but is not passed to the HTML template, is not passed to the render template function. So how will the HTML know uh, that the name that we have typed here is a variable? So for that we have to pass in the variable to the template engine. So we will pass the name, and that will be called the name. You can type anything here like name one, and in here we can, I think, use the same thing. And if we again go to Finder, no, it will not like that. So instead of format, we will be using double curly brackets and name. Okay, so name is not okay. So we have given the variable name one. We have named it name one here. Okay, so we have to restart the app again. And here it is. Hello, Bhupinder. The variable is successfully passed to our template. So these are the basics of the route, and we will see the basics of an HTML, and then we will of the template, and then we will go to the next. We will directly proceed to creating our application. So there are conditions that you have already learned if you are experienced in programming, like the if conditions and else if else conditions and loops such as for and while. So Jinja 2 template allows you to use these conditions and loops inside your HTML HTML template. So to use if condition, we will type if name one equals to inner, and you have to tell the template engine where the condition ends. So end if. We will also put a else condition else. And if the name passed in the URL is Bhupinder, then it will be telling me hello Bhupinder. And otherwise, let's configure it to only say hello Flask. Running our application. Let me check the code if it's right. Yes. So the checking is for the capital V, so I will capital here. So hello world and hello Bhupinder. But if instead of Bhupinder I have typed something as like I have done a spelling mistake, so it will tell me Flask because of the else condition. And for condition, we will be using the same syntax for I in range 5 h1. Okay, sir, let's do this h2. Hello world. And let's tell the program where the for ends and for. Okay, so this uses a for loop and print hello world 5 times. You can also use the I variable, so it shows us. But to use the I variable here, if we directly type I, it will see this as an text, not as a variable. So to tell the template engine that it is a variable, we have to type double curly bracket around it. So now if I restart my app and go here, here it is 5 times hello world, and you know that the indexing start from 0. So hello world 0, hello world 1, and hello world 4. And if we have not used that curly bracket, it will take the I as a heading as a text, and it will print only I. So use the variable, we will be using a double curly bracket around our variable. Okay, so we have done the templates. We are done with route, and I will be telling you about the database inside the main project only. Okay, so we can now start with our main project. And everything else that we left, some main concepts that will be covered while creating the projects only. We will delete this template. Okay, so the template folder is empty and we have app.py here. So since I am not a very good front end engineer and I am very experienced in backend, so we can say that I have hired someone to create the front end of this application, and I have all the front end files here. These are currently not dynamic and just static website which doesn't pull any data and it's only and doesn't do anything. Even the dashboard is zero users, zero countries, zero, all zero, hard coded variables. So I will be copying all this and pasting it inside the templates. And this CSS file is not a template, so this will not go here. For this, Flask has a configuration of a static folder, and inside this static folder, we will be creating three new folders, that is CS, CSS, JS, and image folder. So here the CSS file will go, and the other files that we don't have for this application, the image files or JavaScript files, all will go in these folders. Okay, so check into templates, and here are our applications. So another feature of this template is see that we are using this navigation bar again and again. All this heading is used in this project again and again. So we can create a base HTML based template which will contain all all this code, which is repeated in our project. So we will copy the repeated things like the navigation. Okay, so only the navigation and the scripts. So we'll cut it and create a new file that is base.html, and we will paste it here, and the remaining lines, these are also repeated in this code. Cut and paste. So how will we import it and use it in all other HTML files? So for it we have a block. A block reserves a part in our HTML template, and it tells the engine that something is to be fitted here, and it can be imported from any other template files. So to create a block, we'll call block, and let's call it content. You can name it any variable, and here and block. Save it, and in this HTML file, we will call it. We will tell it that this file extends our base HTML, and the block that it should be copied in is block content and end block. Okay, so we have copied it. And another thing that in base HTML we are using CSS, a style.css that we have copied in static CSS. But here currently it refer it to the same file, the same directory, the same path we are currently on. So to do that, we will be using a function that is inbuilt in Flask, that is URL for, and it will be written in double curly braces so that the engine knows that these are variables and it should be converted to something. URL for static, the static folder in our home directory, and after static it should go to CSS and then the CSS file, to file name css/style.css. So this will load the CSS files for us. Okay, so we will also import URL for here. So going to our application. Now, if we go to the index, here it is. Here is our application, and it is successfully rendering the CSS file. But clicking the add user update level, it doesn't take us to any other thing, and that is because currently we don't have any other route. So we have to tell the function that there are other routes and there are other templates that it has to go. So there is a add template. We'll call it add, and it should render add.html. There's a update, and it should render update all HTML. And last, there's a delete. That's it. And we can now go to the function, go to our web project, and navigate from the top to the add. Okay, so we are not extending to other HTML files. Therefore, the CSS is not correctly loaded. The update and the delete. So let's extend the base HTML to every other template. So you have seen that we are using block content. So we will delete all the file, all the codes that is currently in the block, currently in the base HTML, and we will extend base.html block content, so that whenever this HTML file is loaded, it knows that the upper and the lower part of this block should be called from the base HTML. And when it goes into base HTML, it sees that this is the part where that block is rendered, and the above and below files should be automatically imported to that template. So we will end the block by we will delete this code first and end block. Okay, and one more problem. You have seen that we are again and again doing this, doing closing the running of application and again writing Flask run to run the app. We can prevent this by going into the debug mode. So to go into debug mode, we will write set Flask debug equals to true, and that's all. Now, if we use Flask run, it will start in the debug mode. The debug mode is on, and now we don't have to close the application again and again write Flask run. It will automatically re-render whenever we save or refresh our application. So going in delete, and here it is. The CSS is loaded, the card is rounded, and the color is yellow. But still, and also we have not included the links in the navigation bar, so we will do that first. In base.html, these are all links. So we will write URL for add, URL for index, or home. What we have named it, home. We have named this function home. So URL for sees this function and then calls the route associated with it. So in the base.html, it is home, copying this thing and pasting it in every href for add, for update, and for delete. Now we don't have to close the application and run. It has automatically know that it automatically know that something is changed in the program code, and it will automatically rerun. So home, add user, update. Okay, so update and delete is not working. Okay, so update is delete is not working because we have not updated and called it using the blocks in those templates. We have called it in the delete, and we will do it in add and update also, deleting the redundant code, telling it to extend our base HTML. In the block content. Doing the same in we have done in delete, so in update. And block. So all everything is done. So going back to the route, add user, update, and delete. And because we have extended and used the base HTML in every other, so we don't have to update the CSS in all those templates. It is automatically fetched from the base HTML. Okay, so the front end is all loaded in our application. And next thing we will do is create a database. So to create a database, you should have SQLite installed, and it should be in your path variable. Like I have SQLite in my path variable, and it opens SQLite whenever I type SQLite command. So to create a database, we will create a new file that will be known as schema. If you have, if you know what is SQL, you should have known what is schema or DDL, the data definition language. So creating the schema file, which is extension SQL, and here we will be creating that table that our database should have. And you can create multiple tables in this file, but for our application we will needing only a single table. So create table users. It has four columns. First, ID, which should be an integer, and it is also our primary key, and it should auto increment. Next column, a name, which will be a text, and it shouldn't be a null. Similarly, country, text, not null, and the level, text, not null. So this is the definition of our table. Let's create it using our command prompt. So the command is SQLite 3. The name of the database you want to create, I will be creating user.db, and with the arrow key, with the bracket, arrow bracket, we will pass the file which contains our schema. So schema.sql. Clicking enter. Okay, so okay. So I have done a mistake in the SQL file. It doesn't have curly bracket, it has round brackets. Sorry for this. And going back to our app and calling this, and here it returns a returns nothing. So that means our database is created. So going here it is users.db. Now I don't have sql any SQL displayer installed in my PC, so we will not be able to see it here, but it will contain this user table. And to see this, we will go into SQLite. Oh, sorry, we will go in the database. So SQLite 3 users.db, and this has opened our database. And now if I type dot tables, it will show that it contains a user table. And typing a select query, it returns nothing because this table currently has no rows. So we will exit it. So now what we have to do is we have created a database, we have the table, but our uh, since this is a microwave framework, this program doesn't know how to work with that database. So for that we have to create a database helper functions. We have to create database helper functions to tell our Flask app how to work with those database. So for that, we will create a database.py file, and here we will import G. G means global variable, and SQLite 3. I will also import OS, and I will tell you why. So there are two functions, connect.connectdb, which will help us connect to the database. SQLite 3.connect and SQL.ProFactory light dot row, and return that variable SQL. So now this shouldn't be connect. It should contain the path, the path for our database, so that the function knows where the database is and what to open. So for that, you can directly enter the URL, enter the file path here. But suppose if you change the directory of your application or someone else cloned it from your GitHub repository, it will use that default path that is hard coded here. So if the person is some other directory or has some other PC name, he will not be able to, this function will not be able to find that users.db. So that's why I have imported OS here, and I will be using that OS to find the path of a database. So base directory os.path, os.path.absolute path, file. So what this does is the OS variable finds the path of this file, database.py files. That's why I've written file, and it finds the absolute path till the directory of this file. And when we have this directory, we can join it with our. We know that on this directly Flask app contains the scheme that users.db. So we have that part till this Flask app. Okay, Rohit, you can use any database, but i- because I am teaching you how to begin with this Flask, you have to change the query and the this helper functions or something other for that database. But there's also a trick for that, and I will tell you at the end what can you use to use other database similarly. So we will use os.path.join to join the base directory with our users.db. So what it creates is a path like this: c/users/ something something slash flask app slash users.db. The part till this Flask app is returned from this base directory, and we have joined the users.db in front of it so that it knows that the database inside is inside the Flask app directory. So that's all for the connectdb function. And another function, getDB. The above function connects the DB, and the next function returns the cursor where we will be using the queries of the of tables to get information from that database. So here we will. So how will you know that the database is already connected or is not connected? So for that we are using this G, that is global variable. And how we will be doing that is we will be storing the a variable inside this G whenever our database is connected, and when you log out of that database, when you disconnect from the database, we will remove that variable from G. So to check if a database is connected or not, we will check that if G contains the variable, the defined variable that we will be defining now. And if it doesn't contain, we have to connect to the database if someone has called the getDB function. So if not has attribute inside of G SQLite DB, and if doesn't have, then we will get that variable to connect to the DB function. And if database is already connected, then this will not be done, and we will simply return g.sqlite db, which is already in the global variable. And if it isn't, we will call it in the global variable and assign connectdb function to it. So that's all for the database function, and we are now ready to start with the database. So first we will be try to add our user to our database. So for that, let's start writing our first query to add the database to our user. So we will tell the crowd that there are methods inside that there are methods used inside this route, and that methods can be get method or post method. The post method is used to pass the data from the form to our two variables to our route, and that all we will be using. And get method is to render the form and the URL. So that's why both are necessary to pass. Get method is default, so if it is not passed, the Flask automatically note that the get function is called. But if you have not passed the post here, so the program will not run, and it will tell you that post method is not allowed for this route. So we have the route method, and we will see if the method that is requested, and we are using the request function, so it will be called from the Flask app. Another thing that we are forgetting is we have used the database.py to connect to the DB and get the DB, but we are doing nothing to close the DB, because if the DB is not closed, the data that we have inserted can be flushed out of it, and the data will be lost. So for that, we will be creating another function known as closeDB, and we will tell the Flask app that whenever whenever the route is closing and the DB is not used, you have to call this function closeDB, and we will pass in the error if any error occurs. And we will do the same thing if our global variable has SQLite DB variable in it, means that the database is connected. So we will do g.sqlite and we will import G from here because we are using it in the close So we have done all the function for the database to connect, to get, and to close. So we will proceed with the add route. If request dot method, if the method that is requested is post, so we have to do the following things. We will first assign a variable and call our getDB function. We also have to import it here from database file. Import the getDB function. Now we have called getDB here, and now we have to add our users. So the query for this is db dot execute db the variable which has the get db, and we have to execute insert into the users table. The table name is also users. We will insert in the column name, country, and the level, and the values are question mark, and we will tell the function what these question marks are here. These question marks are request dot form on that form which we have in the add route. We will request the name, the country, and the level. So the query is complete, and we can test that out. Another thing that we have to do is committing the values that we have currently inserted. db.commit. If we do not commit, that value gets lost. And after committing, let's render the temp. Just return back to the index.html. Okay. So in that .html, do we have names? Okay. So the name form input is named name. This is name because this it is compulsory to have a name variable here, because the request method that you are using it calls it by its name. The data from in that input is called here. So name is called, country is called here, but we have name here. Here we have to do country, and in this select we have to insert a name, and that will be level. I think we can now try inserting our data. If we do Flask run, it's on with debug mode because we have previously set our Flask debug to true. So let's run it. We are in the home, and here are the users. So now let's add a user by my name. To a beta level. Okay, submit. Okay, so method not allowed. because the action is taking it maybe to the handout, doing same method not allowed. Okay, so we are doing that because we are proceeding into the index.html, and index.html doesn't support the get and post method. So in the app.py, we'll send it back to the add.html. Okay, so maybe the user is added because there is nothing and the site is reloaded back. So we will check if the user is added in our database. So let's go to sqlite.db users.db and select star from users, and here it is our very first row, Bhupinder Singh, India and Beta. So we are now able to add our users to our database. Next, let's try updating them. Okay, so I have closed the application here, so it will go back to error. Like this, we can add multiple people to our application, and to update, we will go to the update and see again if the request is a post request. And here we have to include the methods. So if is it a port request, we will get our data db function and database dot execute. So our query will be the update query here. So we will be updating users level, where name is the name that is passed in the form and the country is the country that is passed in the form. So update users, we will update the user table and the set the level to question mark, at the level to question mark, where the name is again question mark. These question mark values will be added in the like this in an array, and I will tell you why we do so, why we don't pass it here only like a variable with a double curly bracket like this. Name and country is equals to question mark, and here let's copy this. The first question mark is of level and the other two are name and country. It should be in the sequence like in our query. The first we have level. Okay, so let me tell you why we use the format like this. First the question mark and this request form. From the a, a hacker or a system expert can change these values as he wants. He can change the name from the database or by using various tools. So by doing the question mark, we are telling the Flask app to not take the data from here, but take the data from an array outside of the query. Okay, so it's completed. If the data is outside of the query, the no one will be able to change it or update it or alter it. Okay, so db is executed and then db dot commit. Okay, and afterwards we will return it back to this template update.html. Okay, so that's all. And in this update template, we have to change this action to go nowhere. The name of this name field is name, and the name of this country input is country. And we don't have, okay, and the level that is to be updated, name is level. Okay, so that's all. Now, if we will try to use this update.html, the app is automatically loaded as it detected some changes. Now, update user and going back to my name, and I'm from India, and changing my level to gold. And now, if I submit, it automatically load back to this page. And if we check in the database, if it has updated my name or not. Okay, sorry, spelling mistake. Users. Okay, so now I'm on the gold level. So the update query is working perfectly. Lastly, the delete query will use the same methods. You can see how easy it is to work with Flask. Little bit of code. All these are HTML files. That is the front end work. Very few, 41 lines of code, and you are able to add an user, update an user, and delete a user from your app. And you can create very good management, like school management or bag management apps, personal projects. And if you work a little bit harder, you can even create some commercial or professional projects with Flask. So let's create the delete method. Same, if request dot method is equal to post, then we will call the getDB function. We will execute our query, delete delete from users, delete that row from users where the name is equals to, because in the delete user we have only the name and country, and we will be deleting the person with that name or country. So where name is equals to question mark and country is equals to question mark, and outside of this, request dot method, request dot form, name, and request dot form, country. Okay, so and afterwards db dot commit and return our template delete.html. And in the delete template, there's a form action be nowhere. Name of name input is name, and name of country input should be country. Okay, and that's all. Let's try deleting my my row from that. So ask run. Going to delete users, choosing my name and the country, and clicking on submit, and it reloads. In the database, because we currently don't have the dashboard configured, we are not able to see if there are any addition, deletion, or update. We will configure it after this delete. So okay, so we were seeing if we have deleted my entry. Select star from users. Okay, so no entry. So we have deleted, updated, and added the data inside the database successfully. And we only have to do one thing now, that is configure our dashboard. which has to show the user count and the country count, the user count, the country count, the alpha level count, beta level count, and gold level count. So let's write query for that. It should also have methods get, post. Also, if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comment section. I will be happy to answer them if they are related to Flask or this framework. If request dot method request to post. So this query will be a little bit longer because we have to get five data from the database. So be with me. I will first write it and then explain it to you what I have written. Calling the getDB function. And since we are not deleting or updating, I mean we have to get the results from the database. So we have to add a variable to our execute method. So let's call it data cursor db.execute and our query. So we have to select count of every user. We will refer it by name users. We also need distinct count of distinct country. For it as countries. Okay, if you know Python syntax, if you use single apostrophe, it should be in the single line. But if you have used triple apostrophe, it can be a multi-line string. So we will use triple apostrophe and put it in multi-lines. So we have currently extracted the count of users and the count of distinct countries. Now to get count of levels, we will use a case statement where we will use sum of cases when level is equals to alpha. And if level is equals to alpha, then the case should be 1, as the case should be 0, and that marks the end of a case, and we will refer it as alpha. Let's copy it because all the other two are also of level. So for beta and for gold, beta level, and we will refer to as beta, and gold level, and we will refer to as gold. And lastly, this should be from the users table. So now we have the data, but it is in a cursor format. It is in a cursor, and we have to fetch that data from this cursor. So we will use data result db dot data cursor. From the data cursor, let's fetch only one. Okay, so there are two methods. First one is fetch all, which will fetch all the rows and store it as a dictionary in this database. And as I taught you that for loop which you can use in the templates, you can use the for uh, to go to search in this dictionary and print everything multiple times, and fetch one, which will only contain one variable per query. So we will have count. Since we are only returning the counts and sums, we will get a user count, we will get a countries count, alpha count, beta count, and gold count. So it will be fetch one. And okay, so we have our data in the database result, and we will pass it as a variable. into our index HTML. So now if we go in our index HTML, it will be able to fetch the data that we have passed in this. So how to use that? Instead of 0, we will write double curly brackets data, and it, since it is a dictionary, and we called, here you can see we called this as users, or you can say user, because since it the name can collide with our database. So in the index we will use users and save it. Let's see if it prints anything. Okay, it's running. Okay, data is reference before assignment. Okay, so if the method is not post, it is still passing this data. That's why it is telling us that it is reference before assignment. So since we don't have to render the index HTML without the data, we can put that return statement inside of and also we don't need a post record because it is not a form. We don't have to use the post, so we can directly use it in the function and save. Okay, so our home has get db.execute in the cursor, and res is fetching the data from the cursor, and next we are returning the data in this data. Okay, so let's see now if it runs. Okay, some, maybe we are forgetting the commas. Yes. Okay, so there are zero users, so we will try adding a user. Same by my name. Yeah, and a beta level. Okay, so it's added, and there we have one user. We don't have countries count because we are not entering that in the index HTML as a variable that I told you by double curly bracket. So let's all of these variables. This is named as countries in the SQL query. This as alpha, this as beta, and this as gold. Okay, so here it is. There is one country and the person, and there are one beta level user. Adding another by Tejas name, and let's send Tejas to USA, and he will be a gold level MSP. So the data is saved, and if we go into home, we have one gold, one beta, and we have two distinct countries from and two users. Adding another, and let's let it be in India, an alpha level, and if we submit it. Okay, so we have one alpha, one beta, one gold. There are only two countries, USA and India, and there are three users. So we have our application ready, and everything is working. Let's try the update. Let's bring Tejas back to beta level and going to home. There beta level are 2 and gold level are only 1. And if we delete myself from here, we have only two users from two countries, India and USA still, and only one alpha user and one beta user. So the only thing that we need to do now, okay, so since we have less time, let's not do some minor things like changing the active URL, active link. You can do that easily by using the if conditions in templates. You can pass a variable telling the base template, since we have all the navigation part in the base template, which which HTML is currently rendered, and add active class to that link. So let's now host it to our Heroku hosting platform. Tejas has already told you what is Heroku. Heroku is a platform as a service platform which allows you to host your application on cloud for free. So this is my account. So what will be the steps? First, you have to create the Heroku account, your Heroku account, and after that you have to install the CLI, the Heroku CLI, to send the data from our command line. And you also need to have Git installed. Let's add all in the Git. Okay, so let's first initialize a Git repository and let add all to the staging area. It will take a bit time. Till then, you can install Heroku CLI on your computer. From here, you can download for macOS, Windows, or Ubuntu. Install the 34-bit download the 64-bit installer, and install it on your computer. Next, what we will do is we will install a Python library that will be used to host, which is known as Git Unicorn. Okay, sorry, pip install Unicorn. Okay, so installed. Now what we have to do is create a requirements.txt file. Since we are hosting our app on the Heroku, and it doesn't know what are the dependency that are used, what are the different libraries that are used in our app. Our app is a very small one, but if someone is building a large scale app with various dependencies and libraries, we will type pip freeze requirements.txt and press enter, and here our file is created. And if you go to this, it will show you all the dependency that our Flask app is using currently. Other than Gunicorn, all the dependencies are already inbuilt in Flask. So if you only do Flask, pip install Flask, everything will be installed automatically. Then we have to create a proc file. Okay, first let's log into our Heroku. I have the Heroku CLI already installed, so I will click on Heroku. I will type Heroku login, and this will open a browser tab by pressing any key, and it will open a browser tab which will tell me to log in with my username and password. Click on login, and since I have already logged in, so it's login. May have to log in with your username or password. You can close that, and here it is done. I'm logging with my Gmail account. So after this, let's create a proc file. And what a proc file is, with a proc file with a capital P. Proc file is a file necessary for Heroku. It tells Heroku that after we upload our app, it has to run certain functions or certain commands to properly initialize our app in their server. So this proc file will contain only a single line, that is web, which tells the Heroku to use Gunicorn toolkit, and the app, the the primary app that it has to run is this app.py function, because it contains all the Python files and also the initialization of our app. So In the proc file, we will save it. Close. Lastly, we have saved. We have git add. We have done. We will git. We have git added to the staging area. We will also do git commit. If you know Git, this will be familiar to you. So Git committing all files loaded. Okay, so everything is committed. And lastly, two things. We will create a Heroku app for this project by Heroku create. And the app is created. It will give a random name. We have shelter ticket 57734. And lastly, git push Heroku master. Okay, so we are pushing our app, our project, which is on a master branch to an Heroku branch, which is on the Heroku website created using the Heroku create command. So clicking it, so it will upload and use that GUnicorn toolkit to configure it on its server and use those commands. Also, it will use the requirements.txt file to install all the dependency. You can see it will be installing in a minute. Currently, it's uploading all the files on its Heroku. Okay, so failed to push some refs. Okay, so it couldn't detect the app, and that's because I already have one the same project already hosted on Heroku. But if you do it the first time, the similar app, you will not get that error. Okay, so after that, if you go to Heroku and in your personal apps and refresh, your app will be created. And by using that URL that was mentioned, it will. I have shortened the URL using quickly. So running the app, it will open the app. If you want any information from about hosting on Heroku, here is our app. You can add, update, or delete in that app. Okay, so that's all we will be doing in this session. We have created a Flask app that can create, update, and delete from the database, and you can use this all the things that I have shown you. You can create various management app, or even a social media website or a blog by using the same things. You can store the posts in database by creating a table for the post. You can store the users. You can display the post on templates by using a for loop and everything. Okay, so that's all from my side. If you have any question, you can ask in the comment section. Tejas, you can take over.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. That was really, really easy. I was not expecting to make such a beautiful website in just 40 or 50 lines. I think, yeah,
And
that's just
also,
amazing.
since we have worked very fast because of the time constraint, I will be sharing the notes in the comment section that you can follow and create the similar app by using that.
Yeah, so I'm posting two links. One is for the notes that Bhupinder sir has made, and one is for the certifications. So the certification form will be open for 10 minutes only, and those who have filled the form will get the certificates. Yeah, so I'm posting it here. And also, if you have any doubt, you can ask sir. If the link are not clickable, please copy paste it. And for any doubt, you can ask. And I think we have a doubt from Siddharth Chaudhary here. Uh, is it possible to create API with Flask?
Okay, so yes, it's possible to create a REST API with Flask, and the main strength of Flask is it is very much preferred for creating REST APIs. Like it is used for Pinterest and maybe Reddit too. So yes, you can create. There's a function known as JSONify, which you can read about. And if possible, I will try to hold a session on that function only, so that we can create a JSON app, REST app on in that session.
Okay. I think there are no more doubts here. I think we can leave.
Hello.
Okay, so you can conclude our session.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining, and that was such a beautiful session, sir. Thank you very much for entertaining us and teaching us. That was really, really awesome. And I think that's all for today. Thank you, MSP community. Thank you, GDG. Thank you, FDC. And I think our Bhopal coders community. And you can always connect to us on LinkedIn and ask question if you have any. And for the Heroku, we have told you that you can go on the GitHub pack that will give you $200,000 worth of application just for learning. Yeah, so you can create really professional applications. So we are ending it for good. I hope you all like it. And please fill the form. That's all for today. Thank you very much.